All right, we are live and it's Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, and we have a lot to talk about. I don't know, has anyone seen any of the World Cup matches? Like the Mexico was today. I know a lot of people in my
No,
office were watching it. I didn't see it, but I heard
my
people
kids saw it.
reacting.
It's school.
Okay.
They showed it to my children. I didn't get to see it yet. I'm really upset. They got to watch it and I didn't. I took my daughter for a doctor's appointment. She's like, "Mom, we were watching World Cup." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry."
Okay, so
I'm
interesting
sorry. Is there
enough.
another sporting event besides basketball?
Yeah,
Am
I
I
mean,
missing
this is
something?
like this is a big one. But what's really caught my attention is like how we're treating athletes and referees from African nations and Asian nations. And I heard, I don't have a graphic for it, but I've heard European countries are not getting the shakedown. Basically, like they're coming in, welcome, Matt, all that kind of stuff. Whereas these other countries we're kind of on brand how we treat people like shit. So I'm going to play this little video. Where is it?
At least we're consistently racist.
Yeah, I mean, no kidding. Let me show this one. This kind of paints the picture. Trump on World Cup only. We're working to make sure the right people come in. Like, couldn't they have done this before? Like, if you have to do paperwork and clearance, like the referee from Somalia who they like bounced. Didn't he? I don't know. I blame us for sure, but I also feel like FIFA has,
After they gave him that award.
Yep.
They gave him that award, and I guess it went to his head. Supposedly, they have an office in Trump's building
Tower.
they're not even occupied. So that's like
Nice.
a little get me there. But look at this. So the difference welcoming Maui and below. I can actually mute that. Mexico rolled out the welcome mat, cheered. This is Spain. So Mexico at the bottom, welcoming Spain. The United States on the top, not welcoming Somalia. And this is kind of the theme here. So I just think we have to acknowledge that this is some bullshit here. And how long is the World Cup? Do we have 2 weeks of this?
We have like a month and a half of this.
Oh, hell. Okay.
It goes
So
through
hopefully we
July
get our shit
19th.
together.
So I just did a video. I just posted a video. So if anybody wants all the full information, I covered some of the major faux pas of Donald Trump. And he before we even started this thing, like they said in the course of 48 hours, he'd already made like 9 controversies. So it's going to be a long summer, but I did a more extensive video about it. And basically what it looks like is like a lot of this visa stuff where people are already here and then they're not letting them in, or right before they leave there were a bunch of people from Scotland that were set to come and they pulled their visas right before, they'd already booked accommodations, they already booked airfare, they're ready to leave like the day before. The US is like and so there's just a lot of that happening, and which is, again, I pointed this out and I told Chris earlier, they decide the venues 7 years in advance. Okay, so it's kind of like the Olympics. There's a committee that selects where they're gonna what country is gonna host. It's not like the Olympics with cities; it's like more of a country thing, right? And never before. And this is why I had to go look it up, because I was like, wait a minute, why is it in 3 places? Because it's always usually in one place. And this year it's in Mexico, Canada, and the United States. And I was like, that's strange. And so the first thing you see in most sites is that there's 48 teams now, so they had to expand it. They needed multiple venues. But then when you go back and look at who was in charge 7 years ago, I'm like, oh, they didn't want us to just host it because they had to hedge their bets. They can't even, we can't be relied on anymore as an international entity that is consistent and fair and reasonable. And everything he does every day is supporting that. And I really think that countries now do not look at us as a world power or as a respectable colleague and ally. They look at us as a liability. And I think that we're starting to see the fallout of that. and everything that they're doing, that like that Omar Artan, he called Donald Trump a racist. He had bad words to say, which by the way were all valid about, you know, Donald's behavior. And look, now they won't let him in the country. So, you know, it's just his temper, his tirades, his childish behavior is ongoing, and it's making us, it's embarrassing. We look bad, we look incompetent, and we look childish, and it's affecting our relationships with other countries. This is going to come back on us in a big way, and it's going to be long after he's dead that we are going to be having to try to play nice and make up. And I don't know how. Ask Germany. I don't know how long it takes. I'm not sure.
I just want to point out that Iran, we rejected them, didn't we? So they are in Mexico. We gave them a hard time.
Yeah, well, it was like they negotiated, they brokered a deal and moved them to Mexico because it would be awkward for them to be on our.
I think they're coming up through the Mexico border, though, not via plane. But anyway, they're wearing pins in honor of the children that were killed in our airstrike there.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Adam?
As probably the only soccer dad here, my son played all the way through college. I can tell you, as a little bit of a soccer fan, FIFA is incredibly corrupt and has been corrupt for decades. So this is not.
It's true. Yeah. This is like, that's what I'm saying. When you see the picture of Infantino with, you know, Donald Trump, like that's the president of FIFA, like it is really like Mussolini and like Franco or Hitler coming together. It is like a collision of these two very corrupt, what I think are entities. So yeah, like, no, this isn't so much a reflection of like, feel sorry about FIFA. I'm saying like, feel sorry about the fact that other countries are looking at us with disdain and distrust. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
So, also, my dad was a soccer coach. So if anybody wants to follow me through this, I do have a little bit of adjacent credibility somewhat. I'll call my dad every week.
Susan put embarrassing at the least. This is crazy. So we're talking. So we have this segment that we're doing, you guys, with kind of like all the crap that happens with Trump. I really think his mind is rapidly receding into, I don't know, dementia, mush. I don't know. But listen to this today.
Is afraid to listen to everyday Americans when it comes to policy making on a
These
daily
people
basis.
built the country, not the complainers. The complainers didn't build the country. These people built the country, whether it's fishermen or farmers or anything else. Guys like me, they built the country. You know, I watch all these ingrates. They're always complaining. They didn't build anything. They couldn't build anything.
I mean, immigrants, like enslaved, people, maybe they did build this country. But anyway, this is just crazy. Like, to me, he may as well call all of us peasants. Like he's basically saying the billionaire class, if we want to call it that, his rich friends him and his rich friends built this country, and the rest of us are complainers, which I'm complaining. Yeah, I am complaining. Because this is like,
I'm complaining. Why wouldn't you?
When he just said that, right? Guys like me, like slave owners. I mean, are you comparing yourself to a slave owner? I don't understand the comparison.
And like if the cabinet, the Trump cabinet, they're all wealthy people. And so he did, like, if you saw, he did this like this. He said people like this, basically. He's talking about, a certain class of people. And so they're here and the rest of us are, like much blood. I just thought that was crazy talk. And it just like came out like that. I don't know. And we all heard yesterday where he talked about inflation, how he would, in fact, we can link that to the war. So we went back to bombing Iran again last night. So here, listen to this clip.
A new wave of strikes against Iran. U.S. Central Command announced on X that at 5:15 Eastern time, they launched strikes on multiple targets in Iran at the commander-in-chief's direction. Now, this is the second time in as many days that Trump has ordered strikes on Iran during what is supposed to be a ceasefire. And Iranian state media is now saying that they will target any ship that attempts to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, it's also been more than 100 days since Trump launched this war of choice and more than 90 days since he first declared victory in that war he launched. And just to put kind of a little fine point on it, CNN estimates that Trump has claimed the U.S. and Iran were on the verge of a peace deal at least 38 times since the war began. 38 times. All while the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, all while gas prices remain above $4 a gallon. And now the U.S. is once again in open conflict with Iranian forces. Now, at the same time, Trump's handling of the economy seems to be going from bad to worse. Today, we got the news that inflation has reached a 3-year high, thanks in part to Trump's war. The president was asked about the rising prices Americans are facing, and it turns out, well, he's not worried about it.
Are you concerned, Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning? Could that be a
No, I love it. The numbers were great.
Try
You know what I really love? I love the inflation.
The highest inflation in 3 years? He loves it.
Yeah. And so to me, the other thing that jumped out is that he's been saying we're close to a deal 38 times. I mean, that definitely tracks, or at least 38 times. But it's like he keeps, like, remember yesterday he said he was we were gonna attack Iran today, and then earlier today he said, oh, never mind. I mean, so you could look at it like, okay, he's playing the market because oil prices go up and then they go down. You know, what are they buying? You know, like, so and the strait is completely closed now, whereas before, like, that's Iran saying that, like, the strait is completely closed, and it's been off and on as well. But they were letting certain vessels from certain countries go, and I guess they were paying, you know, a fee here and there, but crazy work.
It is really wild when you think about that they've done pretty much the opposite. I mean, they told not the opposite because they wrote it all down in Project 425. They're doing that, but I mean the opposite of the rhetoric that they're trying to convince people of, right? Like what they stood up and said, or what they're spreading on the internet, or like whatever that they are, and they've just literally done the opposite. And when you really step back and look at it, is pretty magnificent in that way. I mean, like, it's awful, but I've never seen people as consistent in their villainy and awfulness as this administration.
I mean, during the election, they said, like, Kamala Harris is going to get us into a war with Iran and start World War III. And then look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's insane.
That is, you know, that he has lost support because he did say no more wars, no more forever wars. And a lot of people are like, what the F? You know, this was crazy. I don't know if you guys saw, this was, I think, last weekend when they were the last time they were in negotiations. This was the framework. Literally nothing. It's back to, so basically they're negotiating to get us back to where we were before the war. So what they're saying is shipping through the Strait of Hormuz would be unrestricted. It was unrestricted before the war. Iran would have to remove all mines from the Strait within 30 days. They didn't have mines in the Strait before the war. U.S. naval blockade would be lifted. That's happened during the war. U.S. would issue some sanction waivers to allow Iran to sell oil, which means actually Iran comes out ahead. So we're lifting. This is part of it. So it's crazy. And I don't know who said it. I don't know if you guys heard this, but what keeps Trump backing off from this deal is people are in his ear. The hawks are in his ear, like, your deal is worse than what you said Obama did. And he doesn't want to have a worse deal than Obama, right? Which Obama had a good deal.
It seems that there's something missing from that deal. Can't quite put my finger on the nuclear football button, but there's something seems to be missing.
And what's really frightening is, you see, when people talk about World War I, the only thing you remember from school is the Franz Ferdinand was assassinated, and that started World War I. No, that was what incited the alliances to be called. And so if we're really going to push this, and it doesn't seem like Trump has any guardrails anymore, you're going to end up in a global conflict. And if that happens, where is China going to fall? Are they going to back us or Iran? Where's Russia going to fall? Are they going to back us or Iran? You know, and look how we've degraded our alliances within NATO. Where are NATO countries going to be lining up behind us to back us? At our best case scenario would be that all of NATO decides to be Switzerland. So,
do you know half this world is saying FAFO? Like they're literally sitting back and saying,
I mean, wouldn't you?
Right?
Oh, absolutely. And so if he is allowed to continue on this path, we really need Republicans to start realizing that this is World War III. This is and if it's World War III, then that means there isn't a World War IV. You know? And,
yes.
And we haven't even officially declared war yet, mind you. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's me. So Chris is so right about the escalation of previous wars, and that especially for those of us that have been educated here. And if you if you think about how much history you have to cover in a history class and what you're actually how deep you're getting into it, most people have just the like smallest like sliverest of knowledge when it comes to this, so they don't understand what the escalation might look like, right? People on this channel do because maybe they're history fans and they've read books and they know more about it, but the average person probably not. So I don't know that the alarm bells are going off unless we actually ring them. And that is part of the challenge, is because you don't want to fearmonger, but at what point do you get to do that? Like, I feel that we're there. I feel that now is the time that it's not fearmongering anymore. And it's just valid concerns about the safety of the world, because we have a maniac behind the podium of this country, and he has nuclear well, supposedly. I don't know, did they actually take them away from him? I heard that they did. That was the rumor.
I mean, I hope so, but I doubt it. Can they do that? Is that even?
No.
Well, it's one of those things like they can't
give
legally,
him a Sharpie.
but
Give him a Sharpie. He won't notice the difference.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe they did and he doesn't even know it. That's what like I don't know,
Well,
but
what's scary is that those people that are practicing with the codes, they're getting codes every day. So they don't know which codes are the real codes. They're the people who are working in these nuclear facilities. They're doing drills every day. And so one day it could be the codes and they won't know. So it's not like there's anyone that's sitting there behind, whatever they're sitting there behind and saying, okay, well, I'm not going to do it. No, they're always doing it. They're practicing to do it. And that's the really scary thing. But you look at our allies like Spain and Italy, and they're taking a step back. They're not letting us use their countries to wage this war. And it's very scary because a lot of countries around the world know exactly what Donald Trump is. They know the risk that he poses, but they have to play nice because we're the most powerful country in the world. And it's pretty terrifying when you think about it.
Are we though?
Unfortunately, yes, we are.
Yes.
Still, okay. You let me know when that changes. Thank you.
Oh, you'll know.
I'll know.
Yeah. Well, you'll know for a few minutes and then you won't know anything at all.
Spoiler alert. Okay. Great.
But are we going to go back to the part where he says that he loves tariffs? Because come on, people. I mean, if that's not the ad for every Democratic congressional
We have so many ads that Dem should be running between today. He's calling us peasants. Then he loves tariffs, like you said, and he loves inflation. And he doesn't remember. He doesn't care about our struggles or however he put it.
I feel so. You could go so many directions with this, because you could definitely go the route that this man does not know what he's saying, that cognitively he cannot keep up. And so oftentimes he'll say things as a slip of the tongue, or like maybe he actively means it, or maybe he meant something else, or maybe he says this because it's the only word that he could come up with that could come to mind, because right now cognitively he has had a significant decline. There's so many questions, and that's exactly the kind of opposition ads you you would see, like, put like a hazy background with like a deep voice that's like, do you know what your president's thinking? Because he doesn't. Like, there's like so many, you could absolutely be running this and making people question, like, wait a minute, like, does he know what's going on? There's a lot you could do with this, and none of it's not valid, by the way. These are all valid speculations, and that's the problem, is that it's not even like, it's not even as if we're having to reach for this. These are all credible reasons to be concerned, because this man is a narcissist. Number one, he is not qualified for this job. Number two, and he has had cognitive decline. I mean, he is old too. He's at an age where
He's
like,
gonna be
we
80
know.
this weekend, right?
And how many years did Reagan have? Sorry, somebody can answer this. You can probably know this. How many years did Reagan have where he had Alzheimer's that we know that he was in office?
I don't know if we know the years. We know it was
know.
during his second term toward the
Right.
end, and they really tried to cover for him. So I figured
100%.
like 2 years. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So see, we don't know definitively, but it
Before
has
social
been
media.
proven. Yeah, that he absolutely had. Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to.
You're probably a little bit too young for this, but when some of us were young, there was like a PSA that they would play. It's
Do you
10
know where your
o'clock.
children are?
Do you know where your children are?
I know what it is. I don't remember. I don't remember.
Melina,
But I know what it is.
definitely Gen
That is
X.
your president
That was our
tweeting.
the Gen X
Have
people
they done
know
that yet, Melina? You should make a video on that with
yes,
him on
we
Truth
should.
Social.
So that's so sad. They had to remind our parents, where are your kids? Because we were during the summer. I think they only played that in the summer, right? Because during the summer we weren't really allowed in the house. Like, okay, bye.
Right. Like
And it was like, that's it. Yeah.
And in New York, it was still light at 10 o'clock. So I was still outside playing at 10 o'clock, and then I'd come
That's
back.
wild.
Okay, you guys.
I mean, the 80s kids were bad, but not as bad as the latchkey 70 kids.
No,
like, that's crazy.
We were
on construction sites, but we were at least maybe a block over. Y'all were somewhere else entirely.
I'm lucky to be alive, and my mom has no idea where I was. So, like I did some things. So you guys, I have a question. The slush fund. Now, supposedly that was like struck down or taken away, but now I'm hearing that like they're doing a backdoor version. Has anybody heard that? Do y'all know what's going on?
The one part that they're not saying it has gone away is the part where they're not going to prosecute or investigate Trump or his children or businesses for taxes forever.
Okay. No, but I've also been hearing that they're trying to do a fund that they're going to pay his loyal whatevers. So you heard that too, Adam?
I did. It's unclear.
It's not real clear. Yeah. Exactly.
Todd Blanche testified before Congress that the slush fund is dead, but various DOJ officials have intimated that the slush fund is not, in fact, dead. So,
and just a reminder, this is our money. This is, so
going to killers,
Melina, more than just killer. I mean, but watch this.
From Lawfare found.
Sorry, so Lawfare did a report on the current status of these January 6 folks that were pardoned. These criminals that went to court that were actually found guilty and have done time, but were pardoned by Trump on day one, right?
I'm gonna mute myself so I don't scream.
97 of the more than 1,500 people granted clemency by President Trump for their roles in the Capitol attack have been accused of new crimes since January 6, 2021. That is a figure, the report points out, much higher than the public knew. At least 14 people have been charged with sex crimes or crimes related to child sexual abuse material. At least 6 have faced domestic violence charges. Others have faced charges for physical assaults, illegal firearms possession, or other violent crimes. And at least 20 have been charged with driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs or public intoxication. The report notes, perhaps most strikingly, 5 recipients of presidential clemency were arrested in connection with conduct that occurred, at least in part, subsequent to Trump's freeing them from prison. Meaning Trump's clemency order on the first day of his second term may have actively facilitated criminal conduct. They include one person convicted of child molestation, another convicted of felony charges of grand larceny and burglary, and another charged after allegedly threatening a person with a gun in a church parking lot.
So these are all upstanding citizens, yeah? I mean, and they want our money. They're going to get a slush fund that sounds like it's coming back. So, that was really good news about a week ago that that it was going away. But I've just been hearing rumblings. And like you said, Adam, it's not clear. So
on the other hand, there have been states that have suggested, California is definitely one of them. I think Colorado might have been another. Taxing 100% of anything that these miscreants would get from such a slush fund. It's all very muddy and who knows where it's going to go. But Chris Q is also right. The one constant is whatever happens with the slush fund, they still want to give immunity to Trump and his family for any and all tax issues from day one to time in memoriam.
The one
so they get to steal from you and me, the taxpayers.
Right.
The one good thing is the reason that this was pulled back is because Senate Republicans were sending messages that they were not going to be on board with this. So, not outwardly, but behind closed doors saying that this was a bridge too far. So
I think a lot of people will agree to stuff if it's quieter. I think that we've seen this Congress is willing to agree to pretty much anything if they think they can get away with it. So if you can just dial it down so that they can win their reelection, they're fine. If they can still get fundraising monies, they're cool with it. They'll do it as long as you don't advertise it.
Yeah, but he may not have the support in the Senate anymore. Remember, he trashed Cassidy, he trashed Cornyn, and Tillis is on his way out anyway.
That can't be doing good things for the people that are still there that are watching that happen, because even though Cassidy will be gone, right, this leaves a sour taste in your mouth. But then again, there's a lot of delusion in the Republican Party, and a lot of them think, it wouldn't happen to me, right? Like, there's a lot, I'm special. So he might do that to Cassidy, but he wouldn't do that to me. I don't know.
There are rumblings that people are mad about that. And they have friends. So they're seeing their friend getting, the shaft, and they get mad about that. But I mean, it's what's really scary is that the media has completely dropped the ball on this. I mean, he has complete clemency for time in memoriam to do whatever he wants with his taxes, to cheat the system forever, and nobody's saying anything. I mean, that should be a Democratic ad right there. Like, he's a billionaire, and he's not going to have to pay taxes because he made his Department of Justice give him clemency. But you have to pay your taxes. I mean, that's crazy. I don't think people, if they learn about that, they're not going to be cool with that.
I have talked to people about that, and the only thing I think is that people just at this point know they either support him and know who he is, or they don't support him and they know who he is. And so everybody's just sort of like, well, that's that. The people that I've talked to are like, yeah, that's horrible, but they expected it. Like, the East Wing was shocking because that was like that was something that people thought was sacred, they wouldn't trust. They know he's skeezy and like awful. So this is like, they're like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, that's awful. And of course, he's going to try to get away with it. And they're going to keep coming through and doing this, just like with every other bill, like the SAVE Act, like everything else. They're going to come bring it in 5 different versions until they finally get it through. They just bulldoze through. And I don't know what the Democrats are doing exactly, but not enough. So
Cory Booker will make a speech.
Okay, so we're also on Kennedy Center watch. Tomorrow is the deadline. Has anything happened today?
So I have a live link. There is a link, and it is like the Hands Off the Arts or whatever. I have, hold on. Yeah, handsoffthearts.org. You can sign up, and they have a camera. They will notify you when it starts to be taken down, and you can watch the live stream of it.
Okay. Oh, when they're taking it down. Okay.
Yeah. So if you can't go be there in person, like if you're not in DC and you can't drive
gratifying.
out there.
Okay, I would like to have that. Could you please post that?
I will send it to everybody, and
share
I will
that
also post
link,
it. But yeah, it is handsoffthearts.org, and they have all the you can sign up for it.
Okay,
and it does appear that
because this kind of recaps what's happening and talks about the deadline.
change.
So yesterday, staff, they received emails from the Kennedy Center's lawyers saying they had to remove any references of the Trump Kennedy Center. And this morning, that big reference right here on the side of the Kennedy Center building, the Donald J. Trump and John F. Kennedy Center, that is still up there. It has not been taken down. But Thursday afternoon, News 4 cameras did capture what appears to be Trump's name covered with tape on this smaller sign outside of the Kennedy Center. Now, staff were also told to remove President Trump's name from email signatures, letterhead, signage, brochures, and website pages. Now, last week, a federal judge had ruled that the president's handpicked board lacked the authority to change the Kennedy Center's name when it was voted on in December. A day after that vote, the president's name was put on the side of the building. The directive by U.S. District Judge Cooper was issued May 29th, and the deadline to remove the President Trump's name and all references, that is next Friday.
All right, so Juliana, what about the center's supposed to be closing for 2 years, is starting in July for renovations? Is that still happening?
So that's unclear here because the federal judge, he did not prohibit the Kennedy Center board from doing the closure, but he did say that the board had to use proper protocols in reaching the decision. So it does still remain unclear whether they will close it here at the beginning of July. But the signage, that should come down by next Friday.
So
I think
so
the closure.
tomorrow's the deadline. It's supposed to come down. I did hear they removed his name from the website. But that's,
the account on Twitter has been changed back.
okay.
The closure
So
is
it's
irrelevant
happening.
because any artist with any sense of decency, so minus Kid Rock, they're not going to play there.
Great.
So
Great point.
whether it's open or closed does not matter because you're not going to have anybody that is going to be willing
the
to
damage
perform
is
there.
done.
All right. So Patrick in the comments said, let's put this up. So he's asking about the weather, if people will attend the UFC event despite threats of thunderstorms. That's a good question because I think if there are lightning storms, they cannot do this. Like, I mean, every sporting event I've ever been to or seen, when there's lightning within a certain radius, they shut it down.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily
Yeah.
end it, but you have to leave. And then
And it's pretty substantial. It's not like within just a mile or something. It's like
I think it's 3 miles,
that.
3 miles, something like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's you have to, they shut it down. Now these folks are so irresponsible and incompetent. I don't know. Like they all may get struck by lightning. Good luck to them. I don't know. I have questions. Like, is this really, they're supposed to be giving out free tickets? We heard that military, if you meet the weight and height criteria, you can come for free, which is kind of ironic with Trump, his weight and height and whatnot. But well, he's tall, but he's not.
It's also a relatively small crowd. I think they said 4,000 that could possibly be there. So I mean, you're not talking about filling a normal stadium worth
What's
of people.
up with all the corruption around this? Like they're trying to sell, like they're advertising right by the Lincoln Memorial. They've got like seats that are astronomically priced. These are our federal lands that our taxpayer dollars pay for, and they're going to be making major money off of this. There's a lawsuit about that. And I think that the decision is expected to come out soon. Has anybody heard about that?
I heard it's still up in the air. I doubt it will be successful. I don't know. What do you think, Adam? You're the expert.
Yeah, I did see part of a segment on, I think it was MSNBC about this. I mean, it's a last ditch, effort aimed at specifically the corruption because Trump apparently has a stake in the companies that are putting this advertising together. But I mean, at this juncture, my guess is that no judge is going to force them to take it down and stop doing this.
I mean, it came out that he invested in the UFC just, I guess, prior to this whole announcement. So It's
Yeah.
super shady.
I
Super
just,
shady.
it's,
I have a question though, like,
Incredible.
what do you, if they do rule that it is a no-go, right? I personally think he'll do it anyway.
Yeah. That's I
don't think it's
I
gonna
think you're
matter.
probably right.
I agree. I mean, it's set up. They're coming, and
uh-huh.
I mean, it's still in question. Like, supposedly UFC paid for all of this, or they were supposed to. But like, does that include restoring it to the way it was? I doubt
Does
it.
that include the security? Does that include
Yeah, I doubt
all of the other expenses?
We're paying
So-
millions of dollars for this. Come on, we all know this.
yeah.
Speaking
It's
of
so
millions,
upsetting.
I don't know what this means. People are paying over $1 million. So this is, let me slow this down. So this is to my point. They're going to cover all costs associated with it. I guess it's $12 million. Like, where are all these millions? How come we have so many millions of dollars for all of these Trump things? And
We don't. That's the point. They don't have them. They're making up numbers. I think they really are just making up numbers at this point. I know the UFC people said they were going to pay for it, but again, like, it's kind of like, you know,
I'm also not sure.
I'm pretty sure after this, we're just going to have cars on blocks outside the White House.
I agree.
I don't want to
I didn't do
tangent this into
Sorry,
another story, but the reflecting pool is covered in algae. Okay.
Already.
So we got that.
Hold on.
Speak of the devil.
Wait, before we do the
so
algae,
hot.
while you pull that up, let me tell everybody that I drove through DC today, and I'll post this tomorrow. I forgot to do it. I was doing a lot of other stuff, but I took some video and I was going to put it together so everybody could kind of see. It just looks trashy. It looks trashy. And there's always construction going on in the district. Okay. I've been here for 16 years. There's never not some kind of construction happening, but it is usually just like little intermittent like things. Like, you'll see like a crane here and there, right? It's normal upkeep and maintenance. It's everywhere. Like, you see the tidal like basin, like the whole skyline is just littered with like tents and construction, and it's ugly. It's just, and then I drove through it. So I like drove by it, and then I drove through into the city today, and what a cluster. Like, it is just a nightmare. And then, of course, because this is a busy time of year anyway, notwithstanding the 250th anniversary / his birthday party, notwithstanding all of that, there's graduations. So schools come and have their graduations. You've got tourists that are coming in anyway to come see it. It's one of the busiest times. Pretty much from the I would say cherry blossoms on, like through July 4th is in the summer, is one of the busiest times. And it is trashy. Like, it looks like if somebody described a city that had not been taken care of and that people didn't care about, that's what this would be. It's sad.
What
Like a
really makes
third world
breaks my
country
heart,
city.
yes, is that I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I had kids who went on field trips during the summer, right? That was like the thing. You went to Washington D.C. for a couple of weeks. You history, and it's being there. What are they supposed to go visit right now? What are they supposed to go learn about if everything's behind a fence and caution tape and covered in
And they're not going to
whatever
get
it
there
is
because they're going to be stuck in traffic. Because like today, I was trying to turn left and I had to wait like 2 times because I don't know, some unmarked federal car was just blocking stuff off for I don't know what reason. That it just normally things are a cluster, but now not only is it a cluster, it looks terrible while it's being a cluster, and that's just sad.
And I don't know if you can confirm this, Casey, but because I happen to be in a community of teachers, and so folks were saying like we can't even like schedule tours or do any of that because they're just not even open at the moment.
I have heard that.
Yeah.
My daughter, they went to the Smithsonian, but it took a long time because remember the shutdown happened, right? And so then there was like a backlog. So they were supposed to go during the shutdown, and the reschedule, they finally went like a couple weeks ago. And so I'm saying that was like 6 months later or whatever. It was crazy because there was such a backlog. And so I guarantee you there's a bunch of people that didn't get to go this year because they just didn't, some of it was like legitimate, things were closed. And so they have a less time for kids to go. Well, not legitimate because obviously the Republicans did that, but you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't just because they're slow, but I think some of it is also just that they don't have the staff. They've cut people. They don't have the infrastructure to deal with all this. These are not planners. These are not people that are project managers. They're consistently appointing Trump loyalists, people that are not qualified to do these kinds of jobs and are not incentivized by this kind of thing. These are not people that are here for public service. And I want to stress that. Most people that work in DC are here for civic obligation and they care about this country, and they're like, it's like teachers. They're not making tons of money, right? They're not in the they could be in the private sector, and some of them are, and they exist here. But most of the federal workers are making good money, but not great money, right? Like enough to live off of, but not like,
barely
right? Like they're here because they care. And when you replace those people with these Trump loyalists, they don't care. They're not doing the work out of some loyalty to this country. They're doing it out of loyalty to him because they want to get some sort of a promotion or side gig or some sort of quid pro quo. Like, I mean, obviously we watch it every single day. He gives no big contracts away to people. Like this is like what the UFC thing is. All of this is about him scratching the back of the people that are consistently loyal to him. And then when they're not, like a Cassidy, or what's the other one? Why am I blanking on the other guy? Whatever. When they're not, he'll thank you.
Cornyn.
Yeah, he'll kick. Yeah, Cornyn.
Mhm.
So he'll kick them to the curb, and that's what we're watching. So these people, these kids that would normally field trip here, the families that would take vacations here, that would benefit from these programs that are run by people who normally care about the arts and care about culture and care about the history of this country. They're not there. Because the people who are there are people who don't care about this country. They care about sucking
And
Donald
isn't
Trump
it
off.
sad that, Doge came through and cut so many, hundreds of thousands of federal workers, right? Supposed to save all this money. And what is he using it for? He's using it to tear down the White House. He's using it for this illegal war of choice. He's using it for his ballroom bunker,
Waste, fraud, and abuse.
And then he goes and he freezes $1 billion from Californians for Medicaid for in-home care workers. I mean, people are going to die because of this. People need this. And it's just complete incompetence. And then not to mention the screw worm thing. I mean, that's horrific and scary because I saw something that it's like impacted a dog now too. I mean, that's so sad and scary.
It's like, don't tell me that the cutting of USAID didn't affect what's happening in Uganda and the Congo, like, and with the Ebola. Like, we know that it is. And I talked to somebody today that I know, who works with Dodea, and I will go into this. I'm going to do a whole Substack on it. I left a message with Chris and I was telling him about it. And the things that I learned today is wild directly as a result of this administration. But one of the things she was telling me was that they had to change all of their emails because it's not the Department of Defense anymore, right? The schools, it's not the Department of Defense, it's the Department of War. And do you know how long it's going to take?
It's still the Department of Defense, for God's sake.
Guess what? They're changing all of the email addresses for all the teachers, all the schools, everybody. And guess how long it's going to take?
You said it's a 2-year project to do that.
Oh, for
2 years. I'm like, where's to do that? The waste, fraud, and abuse right there.
This guy came and promised to drain the swamp. He can't. He's creating more swamp in the reflecting pool.
Speaking of
nice
swamps.
Segue.
I know, it's beautiful, Adam.
Yeah, thanks for that, Adam. Good time. So listen, they finally finished filling up the reflecting pool. I'll turn this down. It's spit. It's a poor guy. And they're saying it was residual algae. And I've been saying this from the start. There is no way in hell. So Trump's whole thing was like, we're going to have, American flag blue. It's going to be this gorgeous blue color like the Caribbean. And, it looks so disgusting. It's going to look exactly the same. Like what happened to the blue? like, not that I wanted the blue, but it's gray, it's dark gray, and it is reflecting, so at least that part stayed. But this may have been residual, or part of this residual. I had some people in my replies say, that's pollen floating on the water. It's not algae. Whatever. CNN says it's algae. The thing is, give this time. It is not much. In the hot summer, there's no way in hell there's not going to be algae on this thing without filtration and chemical balance. It's just not a thing.
And
so we can
not even summer. Wait till spring. I mean, it's like 94 degrees with like terrible humidity there, like in the springtime in DC. It's like unbearably hot.
Well, it'll be summer in 2 weeks or
yeah.
I think people are thinking this is like a swimming pool. It's not. They changed it over from, and I forget what year they did this, from municipal water where it was drinking water to water from the Potomac. So you're not talking about balancing chemicals like it's your swimming pool. It's never going to be like that.
It's not meant to be a clear. It's just not the thing. The whole point was to reflect the monument, right? Or and
which it did.
He was trying to eliminate that, I guess, and have it look like a resort. I don't know. All right, so let's get on to some fun.
To your point,
I just want to say I have a neighbor.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Michelle.
I have a neighbor who has a man-made pond for his cattle that looks better than that. Okay, I just need to say that it.
But is it flat?
That doesn't
blue?
look good.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
it's going to cost. It's the part that he's going to be long gone and dead, and we're going to be paying for it. And then people somehow are going to forget and think it's the Democrats' fault. Like, I don't know how, but this is what always ends up happening, is that when we go in to fix it, it's like with every other economy, we come and fix it, and somehow we're the bad people, and they think that the Republicans are great. No one should ever forget that this man did this.
All right, so Trump went to the Knicks game. So did y'all also hear that?
I thought it was amazing.
Oh, wow.
Did you guys hear that? So first of all, he went to the game and they lost, and they have like a 13-game winning streak.
I think that this one is right.
Did you go, Adam?
I did not go to the game. No, the tickets were really exorbitantly expensive. The team had a 13-game winning streak, and most of those games, they were destroying teams, like in amounts that were unheard of. They beat one team by over 50 points. I mean, that doesn't happen in the National Basketball Association, much less in the playoffs. These were all supposed to be good teams. They were blowing teams out routinely, like 20 points, 30 points, 50 points. Ridiculous. 13 games in a row, including the first 2 games in the finals on the road in San Antonio. What happens? The first finals game in New York Knicks history since 1999, on a 13-game winning streak where they are really riding high. Trump comes in, the Knicks lose. Unbelievable.
Well, also, Trump caused it to be, I heard, a miserable experience for people. Like, they closed streets around there. You had to be a couple hours early. You couldn't bring any bags in there or anything. So people that had paid
canceled watch
huge
parties,
amounts of money to go, were like,
bars lost money. Local bars lost money.
Yep.
All correct.
This was Trump's reaction.
Wait. And I'm sorry, Chris.
Go ahead.
Also, he could take a nap during the game.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You think we're not going there?
News.
Well, here's.
What did you think of the reception you got from the Knicks fans tonight? I thought it great. I mean, I thought it was amazing, actually. You mean when they had the camera on me? I thought it was very good, yeah. It was certainly amazing. It was It was, I think, mostly cheers. It was loud and it was very enthusiastic.
So they show him on the. So then to Adam's
They
point,
know what's up. They know what's up.
he's falling asleep. To me, it looks like the owner. I forget that the owner of the team is asleep too.
Nah, James Dolan. He's another piece of work.
He's MAGA.
Yeah, he's a bad guy. I mean, forgetting about his MAGA association is just if you're a fan of either the Knicks or Rangers, and I'm a fan of both teams, he's just a terrible owner.
So then later that night, this is on Truth Social or on X. New York City loves real Donald Trump, and Donald Trump posts this on Truth Social. Like this man has no shame, none. And this is one of the replies. I love this one.
I haven't seen that.
This is the. Oh wait, actually, my bad. This is the reply to the White House. So the White House posted this saying "King of New York," and then someone put this in the replies. So that was entertaining. But
I did feel badly. I did feel badly for the singer, but they brought the singer back for the next game. So
Singer was pretty good, actually.
Singer was great, and the singer got an opportunity to sing the national anthem without having it booed.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
But do you see how willing they are to stand in front of a camera and just straight up lie, like without pause, without thought, without ceasing,
and he doesn't get called out on it.
And that's the problem. And that is, I feel as though this is where the Democrats really need to take some inspiration. They need to take some inspiration from this because you got to push it. Stop waiting. Just stop. Just say whatever's on your mind because obviously this guy does, and he tries to paint it as reality, and clearly it works. And honestly, I think a lot of people on our side would be okay with that at this point. If it was pushing back against Trump, I think people would probably be like, "That's fine. That's fine."
It feels
Whatever
like a
gets this man
lifetime
out of
ago,
office.
but the very first act of his first term was to lie about the size of the crowd at his inauguration.
Right.
The very first thing he did as president.
You're right. That's crazy. That feels like
Remember how
13
shocked
years
you
ago.
were? I was so like, what the hell? That we all
Sean Spicer,
losing our minds
right?
over that.
And this has happened every time he goes places, he's booed. And I mean, because I have video of a couple years ago of it happening, and it was the same every time he's done a public appearance. This happens, and then he's like, everybody was cheering for me. And this is why I made a whole video on. I was like, we can't say boo anymore. We need a different word because he's claiming that it means something different, and we need something that is definitively very clearly fuck off, as opposed to some other word that he could manipulate, something that you can't argue with. And I don't know what that is. Silently doing this. I don't know.
Do you have the clip of all the people gathered around Trump Tower saying, New York hates you? Because that was fantastic. I saw that. I was like, oh, you can't really confuse that one.
I don't think he's lying, though. I think he's just delusional.
Yeah,
I think that he actually believes that these people love him.
Yeah,
I think it's a mix. I think he knows to spread it on thick, and his whole thing is if you say a lie often enough with enough gravitas or whatever, people buy it. And he's so used to MAGA being like, oh, they loved it. And I remember what I was going to say. Fox News was caught. They actually had a voiceover, whatever. What do you call it? They had cheers. So they didn't. If you're watching Fox News, you didn't hear the boos. You heard cheers, and they did that in another one of the football games. So it's like these people aren't in reality here.
And that's true. I'm sure that they hype that up too. I think you're right. I'm sure that his handlers go back to him and tell him what he wants to hear because they also have something to gain from this, and so they are working hard to keep him in the state of delusion. It's probably a combination of all of that. Yeah.
So I saw a lot of people posting the boos. Like it was like all over, which was awesome. Like, and I was about to post it too. And I thought, okay, well, we're covered on the boos. So I thought, let's look back to another president who, people are happy to see.
More of the booze and more of the snooze.
Sox and Bulls supporter Barack Obama, the 44th president of the United States, is in the building.
That's awesome to see. He's always been a Chicago Bulls supporter. We've had an opportunity when he was in the office to go spend some time at the White House.
So that was
so much.
That was a good time.
I know.
Anyone else feel like doing the wave right now? Because I do. Like,
You know what? We were talking about this at our house. I was like, wait, I don't think any other sitting president, have they gone to any playoff games or anything? They go after the fact. But we were trying to think of if there was anybody in modern history that was going to all these events while they were actually still in
No,
office.
and to be fair, this is the All-Star game. Obama was no longer president. But
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He goes after the fact and gets cheered.
And he's a
these are
huge
people,
basketball fan.
Right.
Well,
But I
Trump
think even if
doesn't
it
even
was
like basketball. Trump is not a basketball fan.
Trump wasn't
He was
awake
just
for
trying to
any
fuck
of
with
it.
people.
Like he just goes there for nap time. I don't know why, but
Every
he just
every
insists on
event is
napping
nap
everywhere.
time for him. It could be a cabinet meeting. It could be, everything is nappy time.
But even if you see like when you see Biden out and about, when he gets stopped by people, he has like big crowds of people that cheer him on as well, that like stand there, and people are crying because it's emotional, because you're like, oh, that was a time when a president was nice. Like I miss that, but I could not for the life of me think of any president that has done these kinds of public outings, like hosting UFC games, right, but also going to places and betting on, he's betting on things, and his appearance at places, it's like any other influencer. Okay, so we know this from online influencers and what they can do. So like if you would like celebrities, right, if they attend certain events, it gets more
getting
press.
paid.
They're getting paid to do that. That's the whole point, right? So how at the end of all of this, like somebody's watching his money right now, but are they watching like where, if he's getting cash payments, how are they coming through? When are they coming through? What does it look like? This is clearly he's doing things to enable other people in terms of like financial compensation, and he's getting kickbacks too. So this is, I'm telling you right now, I hope I'm alive. I hope I'm alive and well and on some sort of really good pharmaceuticals when all of this comes out, and it will, how deep and how awful the corruption in terms of the finances are. Because I really think that's going to be what shocks people the most, is because it's going to be so prolific, even more than I think we're imagining, because I don't think we can. That's the thing. I don't think anybody's ever come through with this level of deceit before.
And he has immunity now, apparently, from his Justice Department. Eternal immunity for him and his kids, who are getting government contracts. They're getting government. People were losing their minds over Hunter Biden, and these guys are getting government contracts.
Yeah. All right. So something else happened. We had the California election, and the two big events, we should say, that everyone was following was the governor's race and then good old Los Angeles mayor's race, right? So Becerra won governor along with Hilton. So you have a Democrat and a Republican, and I think I'll speak for myself. In the beginning, I was wanting two Democrats, and as we got really close, I was like, I cannot have 5 more months of Steyer like being a complete.
This was best case scenario.
Yeah,
it really was.
Because honestly, there is not a path for a Republican governor at this point in California. There just is not. And then people lost their minds over Spencer Pratt for whatever the and to me, like what is the actual logic of expecting Spencer Pratt to win a mayor's race in the bluest state of bluest city, in this state. It just never made sense. I thought best case scenario, he would get on the general ballot, but he was never going to win. It was just never going to happen. And, so we have 2 Democrats on the mayor's ballot too. And then immediately fraud and it was more about Spencer Pratt. Like this is the same ballot. You had Spencer Pratt lost. You had Hilton win, get onto the general ballot, but the whole ballot was a fraud because Spencer Pratt. Listen to this.
It was totally rigged. It was a rigged election, just like they're rigging the election right now, it looks like in California. Can you imagine? It's 4 days, and they still aren't even close to telling you who won. You know why? Because they're rigging the election. That's why.
Okay, folks, to be very clear, there is no evidence of mass voter fraud in California. Mail-in voting is popular there, as we've been telling you, and it does take a while to process ballots. This is all very, very normal. But you know what? The president knows that. And even so, today, Trump's Justice Department pulled a stunt. They showed up to a ballot processing center in Los Angeles. The New York Post published video of an assistant U.S. attorney touring the center. California's Attorney General posted that members of his team were also on the ground during the visit to ensure state election laws were followed. And despite zero evidence of fraud, a Trump-allied top federal prosecutor announced fraud investigations are now underway in California. Trump is not just reviving his big lie, folks. He is taking it a step further, and he's using the levers of government to sow doubt in the process. Don't take my word for it. Look no further than Trump's pick to oversee the nation's spy agencies. Donald Trump tapped Bill Pulte to serve as acting director of national intelligence. And in a new interview, Trump told the Wall Street Journal that he wants Pulte to use that office to release classified information about the 2020 election. Asked what kind of documents Pulte should release, Trump said, quote, "I would say everything. He should look at everything and make a determination."
Well, I know. I know. Here we are, folks.
We can pause there. But anyway, I thought she laid it out pretty well, Simone Sanders. Nobody ever has any evidence of voter fraud. We are slow to count our ballots here. In this case in particular, I would like to point out a lot of people had the same strategy I originally had, was I'm going to wait till the very last minute to drop off my ballot, which is not the same as using a voting machine. Every California gets their ballot in the mail, right? So you have the opportunity to mail it in, drop it in a drop box, or you can go in and vote in person using the machines. A lot of people were like, this has been such a shit show, this election. I'm going to wait till the last minute because if something happens, I want to make sure my vote is going to matter. I don't want to vote for somebody that's not on the ballot, or well, they'll be on the ballot, but someone that there's some other scandal. And I decided, okay, I'm going to mail my ballot. I did it 2 weeks in advance, but so many people waited till the last minute.
And they have to compare signatures for every one of those mail-in ballots.
Right.
And they also have in-person registration on that day. Same day. You vote same day, then there's also things that have to do with that, like where they have to get you can vote provisionally and bring your driver's license and passport later. So they give people time, which is good because that means that everybody's vote counts. So
I would like to talk about this very briefly. And that is, I would like to read you all a quote. And my bad for not sending it to Chris, because I didn't send him my picture, but it's up on my Instagram if anybody wants to see it. And it is a quote from Mike Johnson. There's video accompanying this, and I did a whole post on it. I did a whole video on it. And I think that this is one of the most important things that we've ever heard. And so it's wild that I didn't put it on this live, but I will just read it to you and you all can listen. He said regarding the California election, when asked, what evidence do you have that there is any kind of cheating happening in California? And he said, quote, "Some of these efforts are so diabolical and so far upstream that it is impossible to prove. But I think everyone knows instinctively something is wrong here. And end quote, and I swear to God, they absolutely know that they did something foolish and a lot of fuckery happened in 2024 and we can't prove it and they know it. And so they turned around and they said the exact same thing back to us. and to fuel speculation
Always
that there
projection, right?
was cheating where there actually isn't, because they're winking and nodding at it. Like, they're actively playing with us. I said in my video, I was like, why don't you just slap me next time? It's like, be a little bit less subtle. Like, they are actively cheating, and then they're laughing about it. And then they're trying to make us look like we're the ones doing it. It's the projection, it's the gaslighting. The Democrats should use this quote over and over and over and over and over, because if it's acceptable for the Republicans to talk about things being instinctively wrong, then let me tell you, half of this country absolutely knows 2024 wasn't right, because I don't care how much racism and misogyny exists in this country, you're never going to convince me that this man won 7 swing states for the first time in 40 years, and he was the one to do it. One of the
That's what
most
I have the biggest
unpopular.
problem with.
Not going
7
to
swings,
happen.
all
You're
the
never going
swings.
to convince me. Not going to do it. It's not going to happen. Sorry.
So speaking of the lies, watch this clip of Johnson.
There's never been evidence presented in any of these cases. Do you side with the president when he speaks about this topic, or would you rather that he skip it entirely?
I mean, there was so much evidence of irregularities in the 2020 election, but all you have to do is say there's no evidence, there's no proof. There are all kinds of irregularities that occur. I mean, the fact that California, how many days after the election, still can't call the resort.
But my point is, there's never been anything proven on scale that would affect an election, whether it be at a national level or a big statewide election like this. I understand there's irregularities. There always are. But on scale, that would impact an election. I've never seen it.
Which is evidence. Yeah, I mean, people that do things cover it up. But again, I'm getting very tired of this. There is no evidence. There is no proof. There's tons of evidence. There's tons of irregularities.
But if there's so much evidence, Senator, why not just present it? There's been multiple chances to do so, courts of law and otherwise.
People do, and it's ignored.
The only reason Trump lost Wisconsin is 51,000. I don't know if you can see, but this is in 2021, and he doesn't know there's a camera, a hidden camera. And so he accidentally tells the truth.
Republican voters didn't vote for him. They voted for other Republican candidates. There's nothing obviously skewed about the results. There isn't.
There's nothing skewed about the results.
About the results in Wisconsin. So listen, collectively Republicans got 1.661 million votes. 51,000 more votes than Trump got. Trump lost by 20,000. If Trump got all the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates, he would have won. He didn't get 51,000 votes that other Republicans got. That's why he lost.
So it's hard to hear, but he's basically saying Trump got or Biden got more votes than Trump, and Trump, he's lying.
And they're doing that. They're doing that because that fuels their fundraising, and that fuels their efforts to come back. So if they characterize it as, we just didn't do a good enough job, we have to support Trump more. I mean, that's how they wrote Project 2025, right? Was Trump didn't have the support to get things done. Trump didn't have the, the money or the what. And so it becomes like yes, they won. And that means that you need to give even more. And that means that you really need to share this messaging. And that means that there's an insistency because these Democrats are going to take over your way of life, and they're going to put Satanism in schools, and and then they start with their fear mongering, right? Like that's what this functions as. And then once they get him in office, they can flip that script again and go back to oh, there was really fraud, and there was really, now it's just serving their base. However they can serve their base to get them back into power, they're manipulating the truth for that reason. And they'll just go back and tell you, he'll say, well, he'll either say I was operating on what I knew to be true at the time, and I discovered more stuff, or he'll say I was operating that way because we were trying to make sure that we put Republicans back in to save you and your family, and whatever lies that they can spread. It's just so predictable in why we can't find strategists to crack this code wide open so that people see it for what it really is. I guess must be the lead poisoning. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I have a question. Do you think, right now, Trump is losing support, he's hemorrhaging support. Yeah. Do you think that some of the people that are no longer supporting him will see the lies now that their prices, the grocery store prices for beef and the gasoline prices and the coffee prices are going through the roof, and they're no longer supporting Trump? Do you think that some of their eyes will be opened, or do you think that, maybe they'll vote for a Democrat, but they still won't get it? What do you think?
I think that the eyes won't be opened. It'll take 10, 20, 30, 40. Like, it's going to take history. It's going to take time to really separate us from this. I mean, as is the case with like any administration, right? Like, you really, history is what gives you kind of that vantage point. So I think if they ever do, it will be because of that and because of any education that follows, right? Like any kind of whatever we do to sort of piece back together what our country was. I think that it will be unlikely that they vote for Democrats and more likely that they just stay home, likely, because they have been so indoctrinated.
I don't
Depends on who
think
you're
they're
asking.
understanding
If
that
you're
Trump
asking-
lied translates to voting for the Democrats, because they're also, it's become so tribal at this point, and they also have been spending years hating Democrats because of all of these lies. They, I think there's a fair amount of people that are actually, they do believe California is cheating, that they are, creating voter fraud. Like, I think there are people that believe it. Of course, there's people like Johnson who's lying,
but there's a lot of
people believe this.
I mean, that's like the MAGA people, but there's a lot of people in the middle. Like, I'm just thinking of like my students. Some of my students, some of them are new citizens and they don't know too much. And maybe they heard Trump speak and they were like, okay, I mean, he really has lost a lot of Latino support. I have a lot of Latino students.
I think you're right about that, but I also wouldn't necessarily characterize all of them as like super trenched the same way. And so I would say that like they would be able to see him that way and maybe separate him even from the Republican Party. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of see him as a one-off, as like, they went the direction of this and this was a bad dude. But if somebody comes in and like rebuilds the Republican Party, and like there's a realignment, that they would go back to that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know that it's necessarily going to sour them forever on everything Republicanism, like, and conservatism. I think it depends on how the Republicans play this and if they're willing to like dump him at some point and just say, oh, our bad, and then move on. Like, I don't know.
Democrats would spend a little bit of time educating people about the importance of democracy and the free press and all that kind of stuff, because it's so important, obviously.
Yeah.
Two things on this. First of all, it's particularly galling that Ron Johnson is spreading these lies when he was involved in the coup in 2020.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
The fact that anybody is still in office that for
God's
right?
sakes. Don't get me started on that.
I will not.
We don't have enough time. The second thing is that Greg Sargent, the writer for the New Republic, just did an interesting piece on how people in states like Iowa and outlier states for Democrats have been starting to blame Trump and the Republicans writ large for the economic problems that they're facing. So this is based on significant polling data. I forget what the polling entity is, but the thesis was that it is starting to take hold. People are starting to get it. So who knows? Hopefully that's right. And the midterms will really show us. You should check out the piece by Greg.
Okay.
I tweeted it out. Posted it out on Blue Sky.
Okay.
I'll probably be amplifying it a little bit more.
Did you do that today or yesterday?
Today.
Oh, I wasn't online today. Okay, I got it. I'll go find it. I
will. So next time I will specifically call you, Casey, and ask if you're online.
No, I know. I was just saying I didn't see it, so I'll go back and find it and repost it. I just prefaced that so you would know I do care about your stuff. Like, it's not that I don't care. And to everybody on this live, my bad, because I was not active today. Most Thursdays I'm not, just so you know. If your stuff doesn't get reposted,
I wasn't
why?
that active either.
To be honest, I don't look at who reposts my stuff. I just put it in, and if you guys do, great.
Look at this clip from Fox News to see how they're talking about our election.
Is egregious. Spencer Black coming in 3 after we saw all the energy.
Defies logic.
And the way that they have counted, it just doesn't make any sense. And you open up the door when you wait this long for speculation from people, for concern. So
well, that
we'll see what happens.
Shows you where Californians stand. They haven't learned anything. They're still voting for
the Democrat that was there when the Palisades burned, and they're voting for this progressive socialist who
was a council person that was there too.
Exactly. So those two on the left, they're going to be running against each other for the final mayoral race. One of them will be mayor. Looks like Karen Bass got more votes, so she's ahead.
So if you just told me, Ainsley, that those three, that's the way it ends, I go, okay. But when you tell me that the votes over the last week would all go to Rahman and Bass didn't get almost any votes, I mean, come on.
They can harvest there.
Right. It was like, oh, let's count the Rahman votes after 6 days. So that's what leads to it defies logic. And if I'm Rahman and I legitimately came in second, I don't want that. I don't want doubts around me. And you know, Spencer Pratt's like, how exactly did this happen? Ask Rick Caruso. He won an election day. He was winning by 5 points. Rick Caruso ends up losing by 6 points. Yeah. Where do these votes come from? They haven't fixed anything.
It's hard to win if you have common sense ideas.
I'm actually sad that Pratt did as well as he did, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that he had that much support, particularly on the west side of LA. You can see signs. I saw his van way too many freaking times. And he has no qualifications, no experience, and he's a jerk. So
you should frame that.
He blocked me on X, which I was happy he did.
I enjoyed all the memes today of the Spurs had won the game, and then suddenly the refs allowed them to play more minutes, and all these points from the Knicks just happened. And you know that the Spurs would have won if you know Mike Pence had just had the courage. Like you know, like this is what it is. It's no, the election wasn't over. It's this perception that we've been given from the media.
Following California's laws. This is
bring back public shame, because that's what needs to happen. When he says it defies all logic, you say, no, it defies your logic, of which you have none, because you don't know how the system works. And everybody needs to push back immediately on that. The Democrats don't push back harder enough to be like, I'm sorry you don't understand math. Let me share with you what actually is happening. Like there aren't enough people being like angry about it. Like I'm offended you're this fucking stupid and you have a job on TV. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could do your fucking job. Like, I don't always have the right words, but apparently it doesn't matter because neither do you. Why are not more people doing this and then pulling out? Because the facts are on our side. That's the crazy part. The truth is on our side.
And they should have like little children being in an ad showing poor sportsmanship. Like, where is the sportsmanship? And that's the gross thing. It's like,
how about you kids that understand math? Because my child could explain this. Like, and he doesn't understand it.
If kids acted this way after they lost, like, what a effing brat.
That's a good idea, Milena. They should have kids explain it, because that's hilarious. If kids can understand it and Fox News can't understand, that's your new ad. Somebody do it. Kids can explain democracy and they can't.
Was how condescending they were. It's like y'all are from California. I do not care what you think. I do not care that you guys are fanboys for Spencer Pratt. Like he was never going to win. He was never going to win Los Angeles. Go to a red city or a purple city or whatever, and you'll have a better shot there. But LA was never, it was a pipe dream. And he was like a jerk. So
but for the Fox News hosts, that's for ratings. But for Mike Johnson's smarter than that. It has nothing to do with the mayor's race in LA. It has nothing to do with the governor's race. It has to do with sowing doubt. It has to do with
they also would love to get their hands on our data. They would like our voting data. They would love
this is practice, because when they run Spencer Pratt, they know he's not going to win. When he uses Trump's playbook, he's not going to win. But what they do is they're using it for future strategy. Like, he did make more grounds than he should have. He did do better than he should have, right? And so they learned things from that, and then they can use it somewhere else. This is what Republicans do all the time. They're not concerned about perfection. They put people in knowing they're going to. This is why there's no race that's ever uncontested by Republicans. They always show up to run for stuff because they learn, they do recon, and they take it back, and it's smart to do that. And so when he says stuff like this, he knows He knows that he's lying. He knows that it's not true, but he also knows he can do damage with it, and he can see how it's received. And if it's not received that well, they go back and they fine tune it, and they come back and they re-release it as something else. This is what they do all day long. And it's concerning to me that we don't seem to have a counter to that on our side.
So I put this post up from X. Jeff Vaughn posted this, and this is one of the conspiracies going around that I think should be addressed here. And it's also really, in my opinion, disgusting. Thousands of homeless voters were registered to vote at LA shelters, despite many not living there. U.S. Attorney Bill Asayo is investigating and vows to follow the evidence. A California Post review of records show 7,600 voters tied to homeless shelters and service providers, one that received $600,000 from a city councilwoman, Raman. All right, you can still vote. You have to have an address to vote. There is nothing illegal about using address at a homeless shelter. These people have rights just like all of us. And I think it's really disgusting to use this as a way to sow doubt in our election. Those people can vote. They can vote. If you don't like it, like people just always scapegoat the homeless. And I thought this was just particularly disgusting. And I don't know the facts here about, I'm assuming this is probably not true. I don't know about the 600,000, but I think it's framed. I think it could be that money was sent to that shelter, not by her. They were that's normal funding for homeless shelters. It wasn't like some kind of bribe, like they're framing it. So I don't know. It's just really gross.
As if all of the homeless people are going to vote for her. Like, homeless people are Republicans and Democrats. Homeless people are independents and socialists. Homeless people could be whatever party. I mean, just because you're homeless doesn't mean you're voting Democrat. In fact, it might be a little on the unlikely side based on a lot of the people around my area.
And also, don't assume that homeless people, like I think with Spencer Pratt, that was really bad, like horrible, he was framing homeless like they were all drug addicts, like they were all animal abusers. There are a lot of homeless people that are they have jobs. They just have been priced out of the market. And their families living in homeless shelters, people that maybe do follow politics. Like if I were homeless, I would still want to vote. I would still want to cast my ballot. So I would use an address where I could get a ballot. I just think this is so
and we don't understand math. The reporter just said there were, 7,000 whatever votes from homeless shelters. There were 850 some thousand votes cast, and Spencer Pratt lost by about 30,000 votes. So even if you're talking about, like, let's say every single one of those votes was fraudulent, it wouldn't have made a difference anyway. So you're taking a problem that absolutely doesn't exist and framing it as if it would have flipped the election when it absolutely would not.
Yeah. All right.
Speaking 2 divide by 6. Okay. I don't know.
Right, so
I almost had it.
Speaking of disgusting, watch this, and it's going to take us back a little. And this is not old.
Biden administration. Because they let him in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? This is one of the worst reporters. She's with ABC Fake News, and she's a horror show. A question like that is a disgrace to our country.
Is there something incriminating in the file, sir?
Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC
All
Fake News.
women.
One of the worst in the business. But I'll answer your question.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
It's not the question that I mind. It's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter.
What would you say to the survivors who feel they haven't gotten
justice? You are
justice?
the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. She's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. Look at what's happening in California.
To that?
It's
the
4
Republicans
days.
are doing well in
California. No, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days. And they aren't even close to coming up with it.
That's how they count the
why
votes
they're doing
in
that? Because they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
All I
that?
have to do is look. All I have to do is
that's
look.
not
And I
evidence.
listen. And I listen to people. And let's see what happens.
But, sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think it's appropriate?
That's how they count the votes in
Do you
California.
think it's appropriate that they have an election and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a
State
winner?
and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the
crooked.
votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote
They're
in
crooked,
California.
just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well, you
continue.
play right into their hands.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid.
Let's
you play
continue.
right into their hands with this rap. You know that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But, Mr. President,
you know why I
you've
got
never
that?
presented
Because you have no
evidence.
credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd.
You
Blanche.
have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about
elections
You
in
went
this
to
country,
court.
we're like a third world country.
But, sir-
Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked,
Mr.
and so
President-
is ABC, and CBS, and CNN.
But, Mr. President-
You're one-sided crooked networks. Right, let's call it quits, because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, please, I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat
I
in
traveled
the rain with
all.
you.
I know. I
I've sat in
traveled
the rain
all the
with
way
you
to
for an hour,
Wisconsin.
on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press, because you know what?
Mr.
A
President,
country can never be
We
great
traveled
with a dishonest
Listen,
press.
we
Come on, let's
traveled
go.
all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
I mean,
He is such a despicable human being.
yeah.
He is, and you know what? The Republicans have
Lunatic.
weaponized this, and it's a problem because it used to be that if somebody went off the rails like that, it was like it would ruin your career, right? Like it would.
Howard Dean screamed once.
Right. But now what they've done is it's just twofold. Number one, they've made him a spectacle. So it's like people want to watch. So in olden times, they might not have even shown that, right? Like they wouldn't have given airtime to that. That kind of rage bait didn't exist. And again, and I want to stress that I recognize that even though there appeared to be civility one level of society, we had clear like discrimination and racism and misogyny and all these things happening below. So like, let me just preface this by saying it's not like I'm going back to like times saying, oh, the good old time. Like there was no good old times of this country. Okay. I want to be clear about that. But I will say that what used to exist was this like that refusal to allow something like that to happen, right? But now it's a spectacle, and so they don't turn off his mic, they don't turn off the cameras because they know that they get more publicity for that. Here's the money part, right? The piece that they're going to get more viewers and followers. But what that also does is it gives him more airtime because she's not talking over him, so he's getting all of this time. And even though, yeah, a lot of us look at that and go, that man is unhinged, that man is out of control, that man is despicable. There's a lot of other people that look at that and go, what a strong man that is. Look at him not being bullied. Look at him. You know, it's like he's got this rhetoric that they've practiced and they've packaged. And even though he's gone off the rails, like, even though he's cognitively lost some of the steam, right? He's still a part of that package. And it's playing right into their plan here. But the one thing I will say, and I did make a video on this, and I'm so serious about this. If this man dies on camera, it will be our generation's Moonwatch. It will be the greatest spectacle of anything that's ever been televised. And if you continue to have interviews like that, because no matter what you say about this, he got worked up. No matter, I don't care what side you're on, that his blood pressure went up. That man was angry. He was upset. His face turned red. And the more you push somebody like that, that's already got pre-existing health conditions, I'm just saying that news companies and agencies might be incentivized to put some hard-hitting journalists in there to hit it harder.
We need more Kristen
push him.
Welkers.
That's exactly right. Because eventually, one of these days, it's going to happen, and it'll be on camera, maybe even live for us all to see. That's the only positives I can take out of this. Sorry, I don't have anything else.
No, I was the first thing when I saw it. The first thing I thought was, "Oh my God, he looks terrible. Like he looks like he's at death's door, and he looks unhinged." But I don't know. I mean, somebody sees that and says, "That man's strong," with his face turning red and his face all wrinkly, and he looks his parlor is just like horrible. I can't. I can't
Lead
imagine.
poisoning is a hell of a thing, Milena. Like it really, it just is. I don't know what to tell you. It's the same reason why barrel jeans are in style. Okay, it's like you can convince people of
Hey,
anything. Sorry.
I got to take this out because I gotta load another.
For me personally, I don't know what to say about this because on the one hand, when you cut him off and you don't let him speak, then that also makes the Republicans go crazy and, like they do that whole thing. That's giving them more attention. But then if you let him speak, you're giving them what they want. It's the only way to not do anything is to not invite him on shows. Like that's really like the only way is to sort of just not give him any airtime. But then again, I mean, then you don't have the death watch situation happening as, like you're not incentivizing that to come on sooner. So, which to me, that does seem like that is a win. So I don't know what you think.
All right. Well,
the camp that the sooner he's
I
gone, the better
work,
it
so
is.
I'm
I'm
not
in that
missing
camp.
anything like that. I still work.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
All right. So we're going to now talk
Are
about.
you leaving, Adam? Bye, Adam.
Oh, Adam.
Hi,
All right.
Adam.
All right, man. Have a nice night. All right. So we're going to talk about the Tuesday election results and we're going to watch this. But mainly we're going to talk about the path to the Senate. And we can debate it or whatever, but I'm going to lay out, a path, a possible path that is definitely achievable.
Can now report that oyster farmer and Marine Corps veteran Graham Plattner has been projected to be the Democratic nominee in the Maine Senate race. He defeated incumbent Governor Janet Mills, who suspended her campaign back in April. And in South Carolina, the Republican primary for the governor's mansion is going to go to a runoff on June 23rd between Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette, endorsed by President Trump, and State AG Alan Wilson. Also in that state, we can project that Senator Lindsey Graham will avoid a runoff after facing a primary challenge from businessman Mark Lynch.
Okay. So I feel like I'm sure you guys have heard this too, there has been a narrative painted that we need Maine in order to get to a Senate majority. And we should be worried about that. There are other ways to get to a Senate majority, but first let's talk about why we should be worried about that narrative. Okay, Plattner won. Good for you, Maine. And everybody, everybody on this call supports races. I, for one, I have issues with Maine. I have issues with Plattner. If you were here last week, I told you what they were. And so I kind of thought about this and I was like, I reached out to some people and I was like, what are the seats that are must wins if we don't have Maine? We have to protect some seats. We have to win some new seats. But I want to tell you why people should be prepared. If you're riding for Maine and you feel like that should be one of your states, one of the places you're supporting, if you're in Maine, be prepared. That's all I want to say, because I don't think that's going to be achievable. And where's that one? I want to show you one thing first here real quick. My bad. I don't know if it's even here. There's there was a post. Let me take this down. I'm only allowed a certain number of slots here.
Oh, sorry. I'm supposed to be talking while you do that, right? I didn't want to interrupt
Yeah,
you.
it's okay. I'm gonna have to take out something else. Shit.
I will say that I have tempered my feelings on Plattner from last week, given how I came to learn more about the authors of the article, about the background of those authors. I knew last week about the fact that the girlfriend that was making the accusations was a Republican political operative. That did raise a question, but then also finding that the New York Times went against their journalistic standards in the fact that they printed the article without any corroborating evidence. It doesn't look great. And
well, you know why I don't support him, because I am worried about a lot of the things that he's on record of having posted and said, and he keeps making up excuses. And also I've watched him in interviews. So this is, my point is not so much, whether at this point, like he's the nominee. It is what it is. So it's that part is set in stone, right, Chris? But
So
here's a post that basically lays out that they are waiting. The GOP is waiting to release their oppo until after the filing deadline, fearing that Democrats will Biden him, right?
Those text messages are bad, y'all, and they're gonna be bad. And
They're
this
gonna,
is just
there's
the
more
beginning.
that's gonna come out. So I think if you're riding for Maine, if you're giving them a fair chance, that's fine. But just know that whatever you saw already,
it's gonna get worse.
It's going to be worse. Watch this ad that was released from the Republicans. And this is stuff we already know, but listen how they frame this.
Collins spent time as a kid picking potatoes in Maine. Graham Plattner spent time as a kid at a $70,000 a year prep school in Connecticut. Susan Collins has brought more than $1.5 billion back to Maine for hospitals, schools, roads, and communities across the state. Graham Plattner runs a hobby oyster farm whose only customer is his mother's restaurant. Graham, say hi to your mother for me, okay? Susan Collins doesn't have a Nazi tattoo, and she doesn't have an account on a notorious predator's Paradise app. Graham Plattner did for years, and this was his profile picture. Oh gosh, please, get that off the screen. Anyway, Susan Collins, a senator we can be proud of.
So nobody likes Susan Collins. Like, nobody is saying that she should.
No.
My whole point is, like, get ready. It's going to, and that was all stuff that's very public about him.
That's why people are so mad about it, right? Because there is so much at stake. And you're right. Like, she's going to bring all that and more. And it's hard to beat an incumbent. I don't care who you are, and I don't care how bad she is. It's always harder to do that. They have more money. They have more influence. They know more people, even in a time like this. And I have insight into Maine for people that live there and people who formerly supported him. And I'm going to tell you right now that it's going to get worse. And the best we can do is just position work on Susan Collins, which I've said I will do until the day I die anyway. Like, so it's fine. Like, if Susan Collins is alive, I'll be there to slander her. It's fine. It's not even slander, because I'm going to use her own words. But I just want everybody to understand that the criticism for him in a primary period where you have ranked choice voting was so fucking valid. And it's ridiculous that people were pushing back so hard like it was California. I want to make the distinction that California had a jungle primary. That means that it could have been all Republicans on the ballot and no Democrats, theoretically. That's not the case here in Maine. You are going to get a Democrat no matter what. Okay. And you had ranked choice voting, which meant that you could order your choices. So it wasn't like a only this and nobody else situation. You could choose all of your favorites.
And it could have been the governor, someone who's already won a statewide election. Okay. So that's the crazy thing. But no, she's a woman and she's old. So, F that.
Well, and personally, her campaign, so that was kind of.
I know she's suspended, but that was the reason why she suspended her campaign.
Yeah, that's true.
Couldn't raise any money and couldn't
she
get the
did,
support.
and it was after the Nazi flare came out. So and this, I need you all to stop with the minimization of Nazi flare. Okay, I need you to come up with a better response than that. We're not going to just look the other way. There's so many ways to discuss that. And there's even ways to fall on the sword of that and say, yeah, look, you know what? He's not perfect and we're going to work on blah, 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 whatever. I don't care. There's ways to spin anything. But the only thing you're not going to do is play in my face and act like it's not a big deal. Like, oh, everybody has skeletons in their closet. Yeah, mine doesn't have Nazi flair, bitch. Yeah. Like, don't talk to me like that.
And
it's very insulting. It's insulting to do that.
And
so there was no need for it. I can't get over the fact that there's no need when you're in the primary. When you're in the primary season.
Watch this other clip with Chris Rabb, who we know is from Pennsylvania. He is a progressive, left progressive. And this is his comment. And I think it's very telling.
Yeah, this is challenging for me because I've felt that folks who have been identified as hard-scrabbled, populist, left of center, white guys get far more leeway than folks like me, black progressives. And that's a double standard that is largely based on race. And I think that's a conversation we need to have. If I had some problematic tattoo that related to white folk, I don't think I would be viable, even in a majority black district, because I think the money would not be there for me to run the campaign I needed. I think there's a clear double standard that the left has to talk about as it relates to our racial politics and what is acceptable. And, you know, I also have PTSD. I have actual PTSD. And I also have political PTSD because in this state, we elected a fake populist in Fetterman. And when I feel Fetterman vibes, I get very, very nervous. I don't know Plattner. I've not followed his race closely. I've had, you know, a grueling 10-month campaign I'm just coming out of. So now I'm really seeing what's on the landscape of opportunity in the House and the Senate. But I do think we need to hold space for folks with genuine grievances, and we need to have a process for those folks who are expressing legitimate concerns about the behaviors and choices of candidates, but to do so in a way that is in the spirit of restorative justice, as opposed to the spirit of the politics of personal destruction.
So enough of him, enough of Plattner. The point here is if you want to support Maine, support Plattner or whatever. Fight Susan Collins. Like, I would put more effort into fighting Susan Collins and exposing her skeletons and shit.
Right.
But I would also come
trying
up
to
with
boost him.
Come up with the responses I was talking about, though, yeah.
I think a lot of us, if you want to put your efforts somewhere, follow this path to the Senate and see if any of these people, maybe you could spend your time on them as an actual path, because you are going to be running like a hamster in a wheel if you think this is going to be a straight course. And I think a lot of people have made too much of Maine being this, like, we got to win Maine, win Maine. That's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, like Chris made a really good point last week about that, where you said we're spending a lot of money and resources on this. Chris Quinn said last week, and I think that has stayed with me all week. Of like, that actually got me more mad, because I was just like, yeah, this was a gimme. So I think it's fair to say at this point, if you want to support Maine, if it were me, you need to be prepared for what Susan Collins is going to bring. And she's going to start with those text messages, the sexting. She's going to bring those. So you need to be prepared to respond to that. And you need to be prepared to deflect onto her bad history, which she has. She has plenty there. So go get it. But I'm just saying, don't do this thing where it doesn't matter, because it will matter in a general. So go get that stuff. But for the rest of you that want to maybe put your energy and effort to races like this, where we're going to talk about where people might have a better way in, or maybe it is a long shot, but they don't have that history. And so we could maybe help amplify them and elevate them in a way that they actually could find a way to win. I think that's reasonable.
And Patrick's point is valid here. We all know this. Susan Collins voted for Kavanaugh. She's part of the reason how Roe was overturned. She's confirmed his judges. This is not about that. Like, you can say all these things about Susan Collins. You're going to have a lot of defense work to do when it comes to Plattner. That's all I'm saying. So here's some other things we could talk about. So the top flip is North Carolina. So the reason why this is like a must, I'm not gonna say it's a sure thing. Chris, you had mentioned this earlier, but it's an open Republican seat. There's not really a sitting Republican. Cooper is the strongest Democratic,
extremely popular.
Yeah, extremely popular, and multiple polls show him leading. So if there's one seat that like put this on your list, if you can help him, great. But we can feel, I think, pretty confident here.
What about Sherrod Brown? Oh,
we're getting. So number 2, I'm gonna put this so we can see, because the comments are in the way. Ohio, Sherrod Brown. It's a special election against appointed Republican John Husted, whatever.
Husted.
He's one of the strongest statewide Democrats. And if you know Sherrod Brown's history in Ohio for a long time was a purple state, and now it's red. Republicans worked with him. If you were a constituent and you were maybe a Trump supporter, you could still call Sherrod Brown, reach out to Sherrod Brown, and he would respond to you. It was really sad when he lost.
And he is, possibly the most liberal of all of the candidates we're going to talk about. So you don't have to, you might look at his age, you might look at something like he was a senator or something like that and think, but if you really dig into him, he is a really good guy. And the fact that this is this is JD Vance's seat. So this is an election for 2 years. So this is that JD Vance had, that then was appointed, that now, so this isn't truly an incumbent the way we normally would think of an incumbent that he's running against, which makes this a lot easier than it would be otherwise.
Yeah. And Ohio, make no mistake, Ohio is a red state, but Sherrod Brown has a lot of, I will say, grace in Ohio. He is, he is definitely favored there. Anything else you guys want to say about Sherrod Brown before we move on? Okay. The next, number 3, Mary Patola.
She's a great candidate.
She's a great candidate. And she has, so ranked choice voting here again, Casey. So that's the environment there. She's already proven she can win statewide. So she's already won before. And she's probably the best pickup opportunity after North Carolina and Ohio. But she's great.
What I loved reading about her is she is the first native-born Alaskan to win statewide office, which is crazy. But
that's crazy.
Yeah. So she's running against someone from Ohio, ironically. So
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The background of Alaska is very weird in that way, where obviously they haven't been a state for that long, but also it's a lot of people that have moved there that then have picked up political careers, and she is indigenous. So that is a huge plus as well. That would be a really great thing for Alaska.
And she'd be the first female indigenous senator.
Yes.
If she
Mm-hmm.
first, which is amazing. So that's a campaign that we should be like asking people to donate to, because there's not as much money. All of them. Yeah. But particularly, I feel like the media market in Alaska isn't going to be as expensive as like the media market in Ohio, for example. And I think that like if we start sending money there, that can make a huge difference. And like, do it now
for your buck. Yeah.
Do it now, because the earlier that the candidates get the money, the more they can like plan out their future, the more staffers they can get. Also, in Alaska, it's very expensive to get from place to place in Alaska because you have to travel by plane just about everywhere. So please, everybody, if you're going to like ask your friends too, why not ask your friends to like donate to these campaigns too? Like my friends don't have a lot of money, but my parents' friends do. So I ask my parents' friends to donate, and I give them a list, and I give them a list every month. So it's funny. They're like, tell Melinda to send us the list. And I feel so like special about that too. Like, oh my God, they trust me.
So Michelle made a really good point here. And it's not happening just in Ohio. It's happening in states. This is something Democrats need to learn to talk about, because the other thing about this, AI data centers, it's really a nonpartisan thing. Like Democrats and Republicans, nobody wants a data center in their town using their water, making it toxic, using a ton of electricity, and making their bill go up, and the sound, the noise. So this is something we all can agree on, and politicians are missing the boat if they do not make this part of their platform.
This is gonna be my 13th reason that the Democrats don't pick this up, because I will go on about this all damn day long. It's such an easy slam dunk win. Just yeah.
So anyway, that's a great point. I do not know where each of these candidates stand on this. I do, from what I've read, it's not just Republicans writing for AI Center. There's some Democrats that are causing problems too. So that is something we do need to research on these candidates.
But we can also push people to oppose it too.
That's what we should be doing. So that's something the reformers are going to be working on very soon. Is AI Data Center pushing the candidates, speak on this. Where do you stand? And these are the problems with AI data centers. I'm not going to be naive enough to say, oh, they need to go away. AI is here to stay, but they need to figure this out, like how to make this function.
Regulation. So you just say regulation.
They should be for regulation. And also we need to remind people AI so far is not profitable. And there's also some backtracking going on with big media companies that have been firing or laying off employees only to realize, and having, AI can do the work, only to realize they let those people go and they didn't really know what they even did. And AI is not able to do it, and it's really costly. So now they're hiring. So it's not what it seemed.
I just wanted to say about Alaska is, so Alaska only has one representative, and she was the representative, and she lost. However, she lost to his name's Nick Beige. I don't know if I'm saying that wrong, but he is like a political dynasty family in Alaska. His grandfather was ironically a Democrat representative who tragically passed away in a plane crash in 1972. So it's funny, he's the only Republican in his family. The rest of his family are all Democrats. But she lost what essentially is like a Senate race, since it's statewide, since they only have one rep. She only lost by about 5,500 votes. So when you're talking about the possibility of flipping a seat, when you're talking about Alaska, you're talking about really small margins that are the difference between winning and losing. So
she beat Sarah Palin. So it's not as if
Sarah Palin. Right.
That's a win. Like that shouldn't be minimized. Even as ridiculous as Sarah Palin is, she's popular there and has a big following.
And has name recognition.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And so if you're looking at a state to adopt, that would be a really good one to do, especially when you're talking about, you can make phone calls from anywhere. You can do postcards from anywhere. You can do like
Maine, Alaska's desperate for it.
Yeah.
And also there are people in Maine that are like, come to Maine and help us knock on doors and they'll be like, come stay with us. And Alaska's gorgeous. I've been there once and I just loved it. So if somebody asks you to come stay with them in Alaska,
I would go to Alaska.
I'd go.
Okay. Number 4, Iowa. Josh Turek. Iowa has moved right, but Democrats remain competitive with the right candidate. So just a reminder, we need 4 seats here. I'm going to give you 6 or 7, I can't remember, that are possible. And like I said, some are heavier lifts than others. And this becomes a little heavier lift here. Let me move this so I can see it. So anyway, everybody has an advantage right now with this economy, being a Democrat. So if he's running on the right message, economic populism, all candidates should be running on that, to be honest, in the Democratic Party. Republicans cannot really claim that mantle. They can win. They can really move. And then you have to talk to the constituents, be there, and hopefully you have a grasp on social media.
And he has a great story. He, first of all, the great thing about Iowa is you're not running against an incumbent, because it's Joni Ernst has retired.
Right. She's in a graveyard somewhere.
He was born with spina bifida. He is in a wheelchair, has been in a wheelchair, but he's a professional Olympic basketball player. He has several medals, gold, silver, bronze, from the Paralympics, and played. I didn't know this was a thing. There is professional wheelchair basketball in Europe that he played, and that is where he met his wife. Like, he has a phenomenal story that I think this is a really good thing too, and has very progressive type values that are still in there, even though it's in Iowa.
Yeah. All right. Let's Let me find number 5. 1 second here. Here we go. Number 5, Texas, James Tallarico, which I think this has been nationalized. So he's, everyone should be aware of him at this point and what happened in the Texas primary. So he's number 5, but it is still Texas. So this is still a lift. There's corruption. There's, the Republican Party is no joke there, even though it's Paxton. So for me, this is something I feel I can help. I can help with Oppo on Paxton.
Oh my God, I have so much.
Yeah. And so this is something like, if you're on social media, go, help with the Oppo on some of these people and really put it out there, post about it. So James Tallarico, Paxton's corruption makes this race more competitive than people think. I know a lot of people on social media are like, oh, he's going to win. He's going to win. I'm just telling you, don't assume that. He needs help. Democrats still have a path through population growth and metro turnout. And like Milena said earlier, the Hispanic voting population has really
flipped.
They're really moving left here, or, blue. So again, national attention, party support, it could be a flip.
And I think the biggest thing to press with Texas is the percentages of Democrats that stayed home that would have flipped the race with Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz. It was something like, if 5% of the Democrats that were registered that stayed home had come to vote instead of staying home, Beto O'Rourke would be the senator. In the governor's race, it was something like 11% that of the Democrats that were registered stayed home, Greg Abbott wouldn't be governor. Texas is not as red as it is being perceived, and the biggest thing you could promote is the fact that if you were one of those people that stayed home, you absolutely can make the difference.
And so that's why phone calls make a difference. And it's really easy and it's so empowering. So if you have never done it before, just try it. I mean, you could try it for 5 minutes. If you don't like it, stop. But it is super empowering because every time you get someone to go out to vote that wouldn't have, you feel like, oh, shiz, I am making a difference. And that's really awesome. That's a really good feeling. I love it personally.
So just a reminder, we need 4 seats, and this is number 5. So this is why I'm saying it is possible. Don't let anyone tell you that the
It
Senate
is definitely
not
possible.
Yeah.
It is absolutely possible.
Okay, so
especially with the momentum we have right now. So I don't lean
Mhm.
on that. I'm just saying use it to motivate you
And
to know that it's a possibility.
And the Senate is not subject to gerrymandering. People don't really talk about that much.
Yep.
That is something to remember here.
And everybody, that our democracy is at stake. It's an emergency. So do something. And your friends who complain about it, who rail about this, tell them you can do something. You can volunteer. And it does make a difference. It absolutely makes a difference.
Yeah. These people need all the help they can get. And, I think most people are fairly confident with the House. We don't know what the numbers are because of gerrymandering, the recent gerrymandering that's been going on. But, we're not as confident with the Senate. So that's why, to Melena's point, wherever you can help out, whether it's calling, text banking, postcards, all those things. If everybody does a little bit, it's a lot. And then obviously giving money.
Quite honestly,
where we're not talking about, which is the most important thing, and I'm working on something. It's fascism is hard, y'all. But what I would love to do is create sort of like almost like a curriculum that helps people have conversations with the people they know in their life, because those are the most impactful conversations you can have. Phone banking, amazing, please do it, right? Donation, amazing, please do it. But the biggest difference you can make is having conversations with your friends and bringing up politics sometimes when it's not comfortable, and finding segues in that feel natural and authentic and eventually will help make an impact. And I think we don't have really and by the way, that extends to state elections too, right? Like this is important for state and local elections as well. But what that looks like is going to be different for everyone. So it's going to be personal to you. in how you approach people. But we've talked about this a lot on this live, specific, not today, but like on our lives, about how different the culture of white people is when it comes to politics, and how separated politics has become as a part of conversation, that it is something you don't bring up at the dinner table, that it's something you don't bring up in public, that it's not polite to do that, especially in the South, right? And that we have to fix that. That's a culture we have to change. That's a dynamic we have to change, because we've lived with a privilege that other people didn't have, and that is why we're here. That's to the detriment of what's going on. So I need you all, before you do anything else, check in with all of your people and say, hey, is this the election that you show up and help us save the country? Like, is this the election that if you got friends in Texas, that's who you call. You got friends in Alaska, that's who you call. You know anybody, like you meet somebody that's from Alaska. Oh, hey, do you have family there? Do you know about this person? Can I tell you about this person? Right? Have you heard the good word about Mary Patola? Like, let me tell you all about her, right? Whatever. Like, I know that it's going to look different in how you do it, but just try. And then I'm going to try to get y'all something at some point that you can share with people that maybe will help it make it like easier. Not icebreakers. I won't do that to you. I hate those. Just so you know. I'm not going to make you do a community exercise like that you have at the job orientation or like thing. I'm not going to do that to you. But it's going to be something like that that's manageable. Okay? We need something. We need teachers.
There's a comment here. Dems need to find a way to make Tallarico appealing to independents because Black people probably won't vote for him. I would like to paint some nuance there because I agree with that statement. Tallarico did miss an opportunity during the primary that I don't know if it's too late now. He's going to have to find a different way, but he should have had a John McCain moment because there was a lot of microaggressions, racism when it came to Jasmine Crockett. I had so many people in my replies saying, she's not going to win. He's the only one that can win because he's a white man and he's a Christian. Texas is incredibly racist. This is not me saying this. This is people on social media. Black women were incredibly disrespected. And you cannot take, I know, Black women are the base of the party, but you cannot take them for granted. They are not necessarily going to come out for Tallarico. They are not necessarily going to work for him. He should have said during the primary, do not do this on my behalf. We cannot disrespect Jasmine Crockett. She is my opponent, but she is also a friend. She is a good Democrat. She has worked hard for the party. Something along those lines he should have said. And I don't know, I've been hearing he's not, I don't want to say too much about this, but he has work to do with the Black community, and that is very valid. So thank you for bringing up that point, Teresa. We'll move on, but I still think he can win. I'm not saying he can't win, but he has, he's not going to necessarily win with Black voters unless he makes some, moves there. Okay.
I hope he listens to this. I hope somebody shows him this and he hears this.
Yeah.
If you know anyone in that campaign, get his ear and make sure he knows it. Because things like this can make all the difference. Okay. So if you know somebody in the Tallarico campaign, get their ear and make sure that he hears that.
So we need 4 seats. This is why he's number 5, because I don't think it's a gimme here. But anyway, number 6, Nebraska, Dan Osborne. So this is an interesting one because he almost pulled up he almost had an upset in 2024. He almost won as an independent. That was 2024. This is, kind of like, I don't want to say anti-Trump era with Republicans, but Trump is in the toilet when it comes to approvals. And yes, Democrats, the approval is very low for him. Independents, the approval is very low for Trump. But even Republicans, it has dropped a significant amount. So yes, it's still relatively high with Republicans, but not like he was 90%, and more with Republicans. It's not in the 90s anymore. I think it's in the 70s last I saw nationwide. So this is possible. It's also a heavy lift. That's why it's number 6. Let me read the rest.
Did I hear that the Democrat was dropping out in that
Well,
race?
it was
or am I getting that
strategic.
confused?
So the rumor, the unsubstantiated rumor, which sounds very plausible, is that there was a Democrat that ran in order to siphon votes. And so another Democrat ran to beat that person in order to drop out, because the Democratic Party officially has put their backing behind Dan Osborne. So she did it on purpose to keep the other person off of the ballot in order to drop out, in order to support Dan Osborne.
Wow, that's cool. That's pretty cool. And that's strategic for Democrats. I'm impressed. Holy shit.
So he needs that consolidation. That's why I put that note here, because if it splits the vote, we're in trouble. So if there's some going to the D and some going to the I, whatever, it's
there won't be. There'll be an R and an I.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, we have numbers. Were you going to say something, Casey? Or
no, I just was saying It's just so nice to see. It's so uncharacteristic.
The strategy there. Okay, so number 7. Oh wait, wrong one. Oh shit! I knew I messed up here. I am so sorry. I labeled something.
Which one is?
I rely on my numbers here.
It's my fault, y'all, because I sent him all the stuff at the last minute, and it's my fault. I guarantee you I did it.
No, I worked on these graphics yesterday, and I was there is no number 7. My bad. Okay, so number 7 slide. So we need 4 seats. So this is a recap. We need North Carolina, Cooper, Ohio, Jared Brown, Alaska, Iowa, Texas, Nebraska. We need 4 of those. These are ranked in order of what I've researched and thought were the most attainable, but it could be any of these 4, and we should try and help them all.
And farmers are mad. So like Iowa and Nebraska really is
mad.
They're mad.
Yeah.
And we also need to keep.
They're going to be even madder after this summer, after they figure out what the fertilizer prices have done to their crop yields and how much money they make, and it's going to be bad.
So this is another way to think of it when we're talking about the basics here. So the path: North Carolina and Ohio are the must wins. We need to look at those as must wins. Alaska is the best pickup opportunity outside of that. And then we need to pick up one of these additional seats: Iowa, Texas, or Nebraska. And then we have the Senate majority.
We got to get that, y'all. We have to get that. I mean, we don't have to, but we do. We do.
Are there any other long shots like South Carolina, or are there any other long shot seats that we could pick up?
Yeah.
I mean,
South Carolina is, look, I don't count her out, Dr. Andrews.
I don't think we shouldn't count anyone out. This discussion is about what's our listen. Everyone has, not everyone, but a lot of people are like, Maine, and I'm just trying to show a path that it's if we pick up Maine too, hell yeah.
This is the easiest path. However, I do agree that she has done. And I don't know offline because I haven't been in South Carolina recently, but I can talk to some people that I am, close to relationship wise as family members. I mean, well, that was a weird way to say that, but the people she has run a really good social media campaign. Was it Annie Andrews, right? Is her name?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's run a really good social media campaign. And honestly, I have not seen anything from her. Normally I see things and sometimes people make a little misstep and I'm like, that's a little learning curve, or, whatever. She's consistently done things that don't make me embarrassed to be a Democrat, which is important at this juncture. And I think she is she thinks she's a pediatrician, right? She's a doctor, but she's a pediatrician, right? And I remember her because last year, I need to go dig this up. She did a video, and it either had to do with healthcare or reproductive healthcare or something. And it was one of the most authentic videos that I've ever seen. It was so genuinely her anger, and it was factually based. And it was just really well done. And that was why she was running, right? Like, this is why she is somebody who's running, because as a pediatrician or a doctor or whatever, she's seen this and she's like, I'm done. And she's like in it, right? And like, so Lindsey Graham he's formidable, and he's got money and he's got a lot of stuff. But if there was ever going to be a time where you're going to dethrone somebody like that, it would be now, because he has flipped. There's so much footage. There's so much you can do to discredit him, and people are tired of a lot of Trump's lackeys, right? Like, they're not. He's not breaking ever. He's never breaking from Trump, is what I'm saying. People
Everything
are
is
getting
possible
frustrated.
right now. Everything is in 2026. If you're a Democrat and you're trying to pick up a purple or even red seat, this is the best year.
Just saying, the reason why I'm saying this is because regionally it matters. So, like, obviously these are the seats that we think are the easiest path, but it's going to be easier for you to influence friends if you live in South Carolina, is what I'm saying, right? Like, so when you focus on where you're going to put your efforts, obviously, these are the best case scenario wins for us. But somebody who's on the ground in South Carolina that can knock on doors, that can talk to friends, like, you have don't be discouraged. Like, do that there, right? Like, don't, just because we're saying these things,
That's a really good
not
point.
that, it doesn't mean that you can't go make influence somewhere else. At this point, they're like, a Senate seat, everything is winnable. There's absolutely no Senate seat at this point that's not winnable in this country, because, as Chris mentioned, it's not gerrymandered. And there are people, by the time, and as Chris Quinn just mentioned, by the time we get to November, there are going to be people really hurting and really angry, because they're going to realize that, like, either Republicans lied to them, which is what happened, or they don't have another alternative, but they're going to be pretty upset. So we're going to give them an alternative in these candidates. And some of these candidates, like Dr. Annie Andrews, are not politicians, and people love to vote for outsiders. What have we seen, right? Plattner. And, like, these are not people that are so they might actually come against somebody like Susan Collins or Lindsey Graham and have a way in for that reason. So, like, this is, if you're gonna, like, take some time off, okay, go get a tan. Not really, that's bad, that's skin damage. Go have like a cocktail or some, enjoy your time off, and then come back hard for the midterms. And the work that you do now really will make such a significant difference. And that's not just me hyping you up. I'm, like, so serious. This is the time where the amount of work and effort that you put into this will make or break this country. Like, a little bit of pressure. No pressure,
And you know
a
what?
little bit of pressure.
You hit on something that I think is worth touching on a little bit more. If you live in one of these states, own it. Own it on social media. Own it in conversations. We just came out of California election. So myself, Milena, Michelle, who was on here earlier, we were able to speak from a point of view of, like, we live in California. We had so many people helping us from other states, but there's something really special about being able to say, yeah, I live here too. Like, this is not, Spencer Pratt is a clown, like, so we, from your point of view, and then also everyone besides these races, as we get closer, say who you're voting for when it comes to, like, that matters. You have followers, you have people that listen to
your
you.
Point,
Say
that's why
who you're voting for.
That's why Plattner did so well, because people came online and said, we want Plattner. Now, whether that's right or wrong, that's another conversation to have again. But to your point, it's impactful when people come out and say, like, that and why they want that person. Like, we want Plattner, we want Collins gone. He's going to help the working class. This is, have one or two facts your hand that you can share as well, because this is helpful for people to have something tangible to hold on to.
And put up signs in your lawn. Put up signs. And don't forget, if you are in a blue state and you don't have to worry about your candidates, then fight like hell for another state. Like Georgia, Ossoff needs our help to defend that seat. That one we need to, like,
Milena, to this point, let me just stop here for a second. So there's another half of the question that of the equation that Milena was touching on. We need to protect seats too. So it's not just about flipping. We have to protect. These are must holds. Michigan, Georgia, New Hampshire. So if you add it all together, we have to hold Michigan, hold Georgia, hold New Hampshire. Then we need to flip 4 other seats, and then 4. I don't know if easiest is the way, but like the 4 reachable ones are North Carolina, Ohio, Alaska, and then one of those other ones that we presented. That's the path. That's how we went.
And Virginia is a pretty safe bet right now. People kept dropping out against Warner. So I think Virginia people, if you're here, like you can get in there and work on some of these campaigns, because like, yeah, we should still talk about it. Don't like you show up to vote for him, but I'm saying like that people here are pretty much have decided, I think. And the Republicans aren't running anybody of note, like at all. And that might change, maybe. I don't know. I haven't looked recently, but our primaries are later, by the way, as a side note. Like ours are like in August. So
I want to share this one thing. I came across this on TikTok today, and I thought this was I was like, oh yeah, we agree. They have Tallarico, Brown. Also, so our path to a Senate majority is just really unclear. Like, be careful about the graphics you use, because this says Tallarico, Brown, Peltola, Cooper, which we had on our list. But then Ossoff, he's a protect. He's not a flip. So like what we're trying to make clear here is both things are important. We have to flip some seats, but this is not really a path because they're leaving off other seats we have to flip.
That's exactly right.
So we'll try, maybe we'll put out a couple of these graphics. Like, this is really the path. Help these people, because this, you have to specify save and flip. There's differences.
I'm gonna do something with the World Cup. I'm trying to figure out how to do it, like, because it's gonna be so much of this summer, like kind of like a States Against Humanity, but like that features midterm candidates or whatever. And I wonder if we couldn't like pick a candidate to feature each week and kind of talk about them for a little bit of time on our live. Somebody that needs hyping up, or somebody that's done something good, or like whatever, like just to kind of go through and have discussions every week here. And that'll remind everybody that they could be doing this, but on their own social media, if there's something that you like about somebody.
I love that idea. And it like teaches people so that they can talk about it, these candidates intelligently.
We do need to model. And that's what I was saying about what I'm trying to come up with is a way we need educators to model how to have these conversations with other people and what they look like in a way that builds community and in a way that builds these candidates up, right? And that inspires people, because what we have are a lot of people who are basically like, well, Trump's in power, like politics is done, that a lot of people that are getting really apathetic because of what's happening. And we have to inspire people and let them know that we can change things. It is going to be hard. It is going to take a lot of time, but it's very possible. And it starts with this. This is how we do it.
And it can be fun. It can be fun. And you meet cool people. Like we all met through politics, and we just love, I mean, I love you. I don't know if you love me, but I love you guys. So that's great. It's great.
We do. And I told Chris, I said, if we were ever in LA, like we would all go out, all of us, like as the reformers would go out and have drinks, and we would have a great time.
Oh my gosh,
and even though we wouldn't normally have met each other, we probably would have not come across one another in normal lives, but because of what we do, we did.
So, all right.
I can start this. Start this real quick. So the best of is just, we're going to pick something either we discussed in the live or just something that you saw in your week. I said best of the worst administration, meaning like under this timeline and under this administration, what's something that you've seen that is positive and something that you feel good about? And I will start it off by saying, I'm super psyched that someone decided to live stream and notify us that they're going to take down Trump's name from the Kennedy Center. Like, I was really worried that I would miss that. And so if I can't get out there, I'm going to get a notification because I've signed up for this to be able to see it live streamed. And I think that's really amazing. I'm super happy about that.
Okay, I'll go next. My best was our California results. That was the fact that Becerra not only is, on the general, but he was number one. And we saw that in motion. And so many of us, after the Swalwell shit show. We were like, what are we going to do? Because he seemed like the best chance to win the governor's race. And we liked Becerra, but we weren't sure, and he was not. I think most people's argument, early on was like, he's only single digits in the polls. And we all just researched and we came up with Becerra. I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of us came up with Becerra. We supported him. We listened to what he had to say, watched his interviews. I had the pleasure of interviewing him, and he is number one. And I don't know. I think he's going to be our next governor because it's hard to see. Yeah. It's hard to see Hilton, in California with a guy from the UK that helped prop up Brexit winning the state. And there's a lot that we're going to be saying about Hilton.
And he's so wholesome, and Becerra just gives me such good vibes. So I felt super good about that too.
Very decent man.
Yeah.
And I'll go next because my best has to do with this exact thing as well. My favorite thing was the fact that all the other Maine candidates got on board and endorsed him.
Nice.
And it's going to save us so much time and energy and money by the fact that we have a Democrat and Republican, because I think that Republicans are like such a small minority registered. I think it's like something like 27%, less than 27%, I think, of Californians. I think it might have even been 25 or 26%, but I don't remember exactly. And so we're not going to have to put any energy into this race, really. You just go out and vote if you're a Democrat, and you're going to vote for Becerra, and Hilton, I don't think, has a chance in hell of winning that race. So I'm really happy that everybody kind of said, okay, we're going to endorse the main candidate. And I think that people who are the Becerra supporters are trying to, put out a hand and say, you know what, if you supported one of the other candidates, we welcome you aboard. And we know that maybe he's not your perfect guy, but we're hoping that you'll support him. And here's why. And we don't have any animosity towards you. So please come into the folds and that kind of thing. It's kind of like,
to your point, I was really pleased to see that Steyer conceded and endorsed him. That matters. What's that?
I was surprised.
Yeah, I mean, he ran a nasty campaign that there is no question about it. And he, wholeheartedly endorsed him. So, good. Chris, you got one?
I got Mamdani paying $700 for nosebleed tickets to the Knicks game instead of accepting a free ticket from a MAGA owner, and being incredibly wholesome about it in talking to the media about the fact that he can only go to one game because the tickets are too expensive. Yeah. And just the general vibe of New York City right now with him. The fact that with the Trump debacle, the fact that he immediately thought of the fans that were being displaced and had his administration help set up a watch party in Bryant Park. The fact that he is so far being exactly what we wanted him to be, which is a beacon of hope in the darkness.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I love that. And I know people get upset because they're like, oh, New York City isn't like the rest of the country. But you know what is like the rest of the country? Humility. Do you know what is like the rest of the country? People are struggling. This idea that it used to be people used to be ashamed to admit that they couldn't afford stuff, right? You didn't want to say that. You didn't want to be like, oh, I didn't budget for that. Let's normalize saying that. Bring back the hey, I can't go spend this week. I don't have the budget. I don't have the funds. Can we go find a way to DIY this or do something on a lower budget? That's not shameful. Stop making our worth connected to our wealth. And that's so important that we push that narrative. And I love that he's doing that. And I hope more candidates will do that, because I feel like the opposite has been true, where people try to pretend like they have more than they do. Let's do the opposite of that. I love that.
You know what, Casey, you sent me, Michelle had said, oh, send the link. And you sent me this.
Oh yeah. I'll drop it in the room. I sent it to you too.
And I'm going to put it on the screen. There's a QR code that if y'all, I'm sorry, we're wrapping up here. So it's kind of like the last minute. Is this the one?
No, it's fine.
Yeah, there's a QR code there if you guys want to scan it on your screen.
That's from their Instagram. You can go to their Instagram too. I pulled it from their Instagram, so that's why. I'm sorry I didn't bring it in advance. Look, we're
What's
all
this
doing
little
our
red
best.
circle? That's the Kennedy Center there in the red.
Yeah.
That little. Could they have put a smaller picture of the Kennedy?
I don't know.
Center?
Listen,
Like,
I was like, maybe they're doing like some throwback.
I feel like
kind
that's
of
supposed
thing.
to be a statement of some kind because
Yeah,
this,
and I was
this
just
looks
gonna
very
take it.
unfamiliar to me. This scenery here.
It is weird from that vantage point, but also it's because like today I drove by it from a totally different because I was getting on 66, so I was like, it looks so different than what I went by, but a different vantage.
Well, anyway,
point,
thanks
so.
for making everybody aware of this. I will
Mhm.
definitely, when we get off of here, I'm gonna put that in my menu here. All right, everybody. Well, thank you. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes almost, and we appreciate your time on Thursday night. It's what time is it here? It's 9:30 here, and it's after midnight back east. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time. And we loved going through this with you. And thanks for your attention on the Senate. Let's flip the Senate. We got work to do.
Good night.